Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How you doing today? Hopefully you are doing quite lovely. And if you're not, hopefully we can cheer you up with a little bit of Ninjago love today. This is the second and final part of the new wave of Ninjago, available January 2024. And I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first one that we're going to talk about today, I told you on the last episode that this was going to be a multiple set of mechs that are pretty much identical in the way that they are built / constructed to be able to be used to mix and match. So this being the first one, let's go ahead and touch on it. Cole's Elemental Earth Mech 71806 retails for $20, which is a fairly good price, and has 235 pieces. The idea behind this mech and this new wave of mechs, we're going to have some now. Obviously, we have some now, and then we'll have some later in the year. If I'm not mistaken, potentially March is what I've been told. Now, the cool thing about these mechs, as I had mentioned, is you can remove parts and pieces and jockey them around with the other mechs. So you can make any combinations. There's many combinations. I did not count. It's a lot. So with this being Cole's mech, his is actually pretty nice. I like the way that this was done. Well, all of them, but especially this one. I really like the color palette of this, with the black and the orange and then the gold. And then you have the trans orange rock pieces and stuff like that. And Nexo Shields. It really, really works well. And I love the color contrast. Plus, this just feels the bulkiest of all the mechs just because he is the elemental master of Earth. So what do you need to know? Well, what you need to know is you have your center area where your minifig stands / sits, I guess depending on how you want to classify it. Anyway, you just tuck Cole away in there. And then the big thing that I just really want to get to, you do have the 2x2 round tile that is a nice design on it. I really like the way that is done, but it is meant to be this whole theme. So it's not just for him. It's for all of them. I think it's supposed to be the little, I can't remember, the power orbs, dragon orbs. I can't remember. Anyway, so the arms are pretty much identical as they really need to be, obviously. They do have big ball joints that the shoulders attach to. The elbows are locked, 100% locked, but you have some of these bigger rock pieces and stuff that kind of make up the guard on the forearm, the guard that is on the shoulders, and just plates to kind of lock everything into position and whatnot, Anyway, really good movement considering how bulky the shoulders and I guess arms to a certain extent. Really good flexibility there. Obviously, you can rotate those things all over the place and you can lift them up and down pretty well, even though you've got those big, bulky exterior shoulder pad type things that are going on. So I'm a big fan of that. He does have his big power, axe, I guess you could call it. This thing is massive in its build up. And I guess it kind of has to be, you have this big, massive body. You need this big, massive power smashing hammer as well. This does just pin into the hand area because that's the way to hold it. And then you have two little fingers, but they are not going to hold that into position. So at the torso of this thing, this is something new. And I'm really happy to see this. So at the torso of this thing, you can actually remove the entire leg segment, hips and torso, bottom end of the torso, the hips with the, hip bones connected, if you will, with those big ball joints for the lower legs. Now, this new part, it's a 1x2. It's a modified 1x2 brick. And what it has is it's got this little, it's like a Technic pin that comes out of it, but it's got these little ridges. I don't know how to explain it. Almost like it's meant to kind of like these little flanges that are on the side next to the pin. It's really, really, really bizarre. Now, I'm sure we'll be seeing it in many other builds in the future, coming in the future at some point in time. So that'll be nice to see. But anyway, so that is the connection point for the upper part of the body to the leg segment. Now, the legs are super simple, nothing complex or anything whatever of the sort, but they do have those kind of rock type pieces that are put into place here as like kneecaps, so that is really nice. The knees are locked, obviously, because they need to be for the ability to be able to hold this. However, the ankles are not, and the ankles are again, those bigger ball joints as well. And then obviously you have the big old chunky feet with what actually looks like toes that is on the bottom of this mech. So I thought that was kind of, it just felt almost like a dragon foot, some kind of dinosaur foot. There we go. Like a dinosaur foot with the little toes, the big old kind of toes that are hanging out there. So that was kind of neat in its own right. Now, the last thing about this mech, the range of motion, the posability of this thing is actually pretty good. It could be better. I think some of the bulkiness to a certain degree minimizes the ability to move it around in certain positions. You'll see Sora's mech is a little bit different as far as flexibility goes, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So to wrap out with this thing, the minifigs, we do have Cole, and Cole comes in his black and orange with his little hat that he's wearing there. I like that. I love the face that they have here. Not just their normal face. It's the reverse side face with the kind of rectangular eyes, and everything's kind of that darker color, blacked out, like I don't know, covert. It's just really nice in the way that is done. But I really like the black and the orange. That works really, really well together. And then the last minifig that we have in this set is the Wolf Mask Warrior. We've seen this guy before. This is nothing new or wild or crazy or unique or different. It is exactly the same as we have talked about in other sets. It's just redundant. And the point of this is you have to have multiple of these bad guys throughout the wave, because not everybody's going to buy the entire wave. And you could say the same for the ninja, but they're different. Bad guys are dime a dozen. You get one, you get them all kind of thing for the most part. All right, up next, we've got to move on to the next mech, and this one is Sora's mech. Sora's elemental tech mech, that is her power technology, and 71807 is the set number. It has 209 pieces, retails for $20, and you get a pair of minifigs here, obviously. So her mech is much different than Cole's mech, obviously. Much more slender, much more, I guess to a certain degree, feminine. There's just something, there's something about it. And I think it has to do with the kind of near the hips. We'll talk about it in a moment. So the feet on this thing, the feet are not near as chunky. Obviously, this is not as much of a chunky mech in comparison to what we just talked about. So the feet are just a little thinner, a little narrower, kind of, it makes them look much longer than it really needs to be. Anyway, so you have the big ball joint down there for the ankle, which is obviously only allows you a certain amount of range of motion. I almost feel like this has less range of motion, and I think the only reason it looks or feels like that is because this is a much slender mech than the chunkiness that Cole's brings. So the knees are locked with that angled piece. Obviously, there's one on the inside, outside, top, bottom, however you want to place it. Again, we have the big ball joints that are for the hip joints for the legs. And then we have and I forgot to mention, it is 100% a new piece, but on Cole's mech, we had talked about it, and they use it for the shoulder pads, the knee pads, whatever you want to call it. And these are great because they have a bar so they can be clipped into place, or it can just be attached via studs. Either way, all I know is it is just a sharp, you've got some tearing. It almost feels like feathering. There's just something about it. And I know I kind of called them rock pieces, but there's a way that they feel very like rock-esque, very armor heavy, I guess armor centric, but they feel they have that rock feel to them. So she has two that are sticking out above her big ball joints that they have for the legs, one on each side that are clipped into place. And the idea here is when you move the mech, it kind of covers up the nakedness of the big ball joint that is in there. But at the same time, that's where it feels almost like a kilt or a skirt or something like that. It just feels, like I said, it kind of gives that feminine idea to a certain degree. You can yell at me if you want, you shouldn't classify, whatever. Anyway, so again, the top of the torso and the bottom part with the legs and everything do come apart. They come apart right above where those flaps are. Flaps, whatever you want to call them, that are hanging over her skirt. Her skirt. We're just going to call them her skirts. Her skirts on each leg. So up above, that same new piece that we had talked about, that clips it into place, allows you to have some rotation as well. Anyway, same 2x2 tile for the front of this, allows Sora to get in there. She's got some kind of little triangular brick, if you will. I like the way these are done in this parts usage here. They used them on Cole's feet, but I feel these are done in a better way. Shoulders are the exact same. Big ball joints there as well. Obviously, again, meant to come off very easily and be swapped very quickly. So she does have these little blades that are sticking out the back of, I guess, what would be her bicep or out the back of the tricep. I don't know really which we're looking at here. Anyway, the elbows are locked again, just like in Cole's mech. On her right hand, she has these big set of blades that she's using, and they have these newish finger pieces. They've been out, I think they've been out about a year now. Anyway, so she has them on each hand. Her left hand, she has a big magenta blade that is spinning there, so that's that is kind of nice. I like the way that is done. So I guess we have to talk about minifigs, yeah? So we'll get to the minifigs. Minifigs for this, obviously, Sora's is really nice. Her color palette, there's something about it. I really like the way that it is done. She has her golden arm. I love. I don't know what it is about it. There's just something different about hers. I'm just a fan. Anyway, so she comes with her little mask type scarf thing that she's got over her face, and her big pink hair where she's got those big pointy, my goodness, buns, I guess you could call them, on the top of her head. Two of them. Do you have two buns and hair at the same time? Pigtails? No, not pigtails. I don't know what you would call those little things. I don't have hair, so I have no idea. But I love the coloring in general that she has. You've got the pink and the dark blue, and then you have some gold as well. But it printed against the white. There's just something that I absolutely 100% love about it. Her opposite face, aside from her being an angry elf, she's a powered up elf, I guess you could say, where she has the eyes in which she's, I guess under elemental powers. So the next minifig here is a little bit different. Same kind of head, same kind of body, claws and everything, but he does have something a little bit different. And so this is one of the wolf mask warriors, claw warriors. And I shouldn't have said wolf mask. I kept talking about the mask and it was on my brain. Anyway, so that's what this little dude has. And same head, same body and everything like that. But you have this little, it's supposed to be like, I guess, mechanical claws on the side. Maybe you can imagine that it can fly because it kind of looks like wings. They're clipped into place on the back and they can just move, side to side, obviously. It looks really neat. He does have the claws, which again, I'm a big fan of, but there's something about these head pieces because they are a mask. And then when you pop that thing off, and I can't remember if I had mentioned that before, but when you pop that thing off, just seeing the weird printed face is just, I mean, it's a good bad guy face. It's 100% a good bad guy face. So I'm a big fan of that. The last thing I forgot to mention in here, you do have a little tree build here with some magenta leaves and, big giant kind of claw piece that is used for the base of this. I mean, I guess there's a point that you could use it for, structure play of something. I don't know what you would really play with the tree, but you can absolutely use that 100%. So last of the mechs for this wave is Kai's Elemental Fire Mech. Kai is the Elemental Master of Fire. If you didn't know that already, 71808 is the set number. It has 322 pieces and retails for $30, €30. Obviously, I really like this, and the reason I like this is because you get 2 mechs here. Not just one, you get 2, plus you get a new bad guy minifig. Who doesn't love new bad guys? Figs, people, little plastic people, whatever you want to talk about, or whatever you want to call them, I suppose. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So Kai's mech, I love the color of this. I know I just said it about Sora, but there's just something that it feels very Lego classic about a majority red mech. Obviously it's Kai's color, but there's just something about it. It's very striking. It feels very intimidating. So I do like that. So the feet on this one. The feet are the ugliest, most hideous thing I have ever seen on a mech. And I 100% say that with the fullest confidence that I'm not ever going to regret it or take it back. And the reason I say that is while they, you have the ball joints and stuff like that, the feet are more kind of flat, but you've got these kind of weird toes that are like really wide. They are two studs wide. There's 2 studs in the middle. So the left and right, or the outer and inner toe, are 2 studs apart. It is so weird looking. And it's just, split apart by a gold ingot, which is fine. Color isn't horrible, but it just looks super weird. It looks like some kind of mutant toe or something from X-Men or something like that. I don't even know. Anyway, so you do have some range of motion on the ankle because, again, a big ball joint here, which is not bad. I'm okay with it. Knees are locked with those pieces that lock knees and elbows everywhere, and it seems like every mech at this point in time, it almost feels a little bit redundant, but it's fine. Then we have the new piece that is used here for the shoulder, which we'll talk about in a moment, but it's for the shoulder and the knee, which I'm a big fan of. Again, the texturing on it, and then the red here, it really sells it really, really well. So then as we move up to the hip joint, the waist joint, because there is a waist joint because it does rotate around, spin around, and, then obviously you can pop the thing off. But you have big ball joints for the hips there as well. Kind of like how everything's kind of tucked away with this mech. The range of motion here is not the greatest based on the piece that is used here to be able to cover the joint, displaying in and out. Not the best because it, becomes a physical stop. But again, you can remove the torso just above that and you can mix and match and do whatever the heck you want. I did want to mention though, because I totally forgot to mention it on some of the others, the clips that come on these mechs, you have a spot to store your swords. And I know that is a thing Lego has done for a few years now, but I remember at one point in time, and it was such a struggle to say, could we please, for the love of God, could we please just get some clips to be able to hold on to these weapons or anything that they're carrying? In Lego City, I need somewhere to put my flashlight when I'm driving the car or whatever. They've done a really good job about that. So that is something that, folks, I don't want to say complain about necessarily, but, complained about, and Lego listened. They do take feedback. I can promise you that. So then we move up to the torso area, and we have that 2x2 round tile there, that beautiful little tile that's in there, and then that's on the chest. You put your minifig in there, and with that kind of darker color around the eyes, those yellow eyes, gold eyes, whatever you want to call them. Man, that red on top of red, it just looks good. There's something about it. It's just slick. So you have the big ball joints here for the shoulders yet again, and you have those new pieces, those kind of kneecap pieces, those armor pieces, those skirt pieces, as we talked about with Sora's. So these two are clipped into place, and they have some fire, believe it or not, that is sticking out from it, which these fiery flame type pieces, they're just sharp. They add, it's that trans orange. They add that beautiful texture. They add that different color, which, you you can never get enough of that kind of stuff. So these can actually be maneuvered about, which I do love, because anytime you get an opportunity to be able to kind of swivel or move things, it just makes more fun to play, or posability and stuff like that. So the elbows are locked yet again with that big old chunky piece that is in there. And then we have another one of these fiery flame type pieces that is on the back of the arm that is ball jointed into place so that you can maneuver that puppy around however you so choose. Now the wrists, we get to the wrists. We have those big fingers, those newer big fingers that we have that came out sometime last year. I can't remember in what it came out with. Maybe it came out with a Ninjago. I'm not 100% sure because that was like a long time ago. But you do have a sword that can be held in either hand if you so choose. And it is a big old sword. I love when they do these big swords. I think part of it, it works well with the scale of this. So I just, Cole's hammer is fine. There's just something about these swords. Big pearl gold sword. It's just pretty. So that just pins into either side, either hand. It doesn't really matter. And then the fingers are just basically there to wrap around for fun or whatever. You just want to pretend that they're just there for whatever. Something. So I told you there are 2 mechs in here. There 100% are. There's a wolf mech that is in here. It's kind of scary, creepy looking. It looks like some kind of pteranodon or pterodactyl, maybe. Probably a pterodactyl. How they fold their wings up to a certain degree and feel like they kind of walk on what is almost like their elbows. That's not what's going on here. But it has that kind of weird feel to it, because of what it has at its, I guess you want to call it its hands, at its talons there, at the wrist joint. There's something weird about it. So it's very kind of gangly looking in its own right. So it's just kind of weird. Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about what this entire body encompasses. Now, I will tell you it is much smaller in size to the other mech, but that's okay. So what do you say we start from the top? Let's start from the top this time. The head down to the weird toes and weird legs, arms, whatever. They're all kind of gangly weird. So the head, cockpit, center, torso section, whatever you want to call it, the cockpit piece opens up just like we've seen with all the other mechs. It's a standard idea. Put your minifig in there of your little wolf dude. Voila, done. No, it does have a 2x2 tile, but no special anything, insignia or anything like that on it, unfortunately. Then we move to the shoulder joints. The shoulder joints are just simple little ball joints, not the big ones. This is not meant to be swapped around, done all kinds of weird, crazy things, which is fine. We have the locked out elbows as well, which is obviously necessary. It appears these days with these new mechs. New style of mechs the last 2 years. Anyway, so then we move down, you get a little trailer hitch as an arm extension. So you come down from 2 studs wide to a single stud wide with a small ball joint there. And that obviously is ball jointed in for the wrist. And then you have these 2 grayish claws that are clipped in at the end. And it's just weird. It's a weird kind of movement. Like, it's a weird kind of look. It just doesn't feel as if it should be like that. It feels like somebody went in and just grabbed a handful of parts and they came up with some of this stuff and they're like, you know what? I'm going to make an arm out of this. I'm going to make a wrist and a hand out of this. And it works. It's just kind of weird looking. So each arm is identical. If we move down to the torso, it actually has a tail, believe it or not. A tail, because it's a wolf. Of course it is. So then we move down to the hips. We've got the tiny little ball joints there. We have locked thighs / knees, if you will. It's kind of weird setup here with these weird angular pieces. They're used in mechs, yes. It's just weird here, I think, because this is such a slender mech. You think Sora's mech is slender? This is way hella slender. Then we move down to the ball joints of the ankle with the tiny ball joints, and then we move down to the claws / the feet And we have the same claws on the feet. There are 2 on each foot that we had for the hands. So I'm a fan of what it looks like. Some weird kind of posability that you can get this thing into. You can almost get this thing down onto all fours, which is kind of what it feels like it could/should be doing. It feels like it could do, stand up or potentially crawl on all fours. It's just kind of wonky, but you can get it into some nice little poses. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. We've got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. So let's go ahead and talk about minifigs and get this set out of the way so we can talk about the really cool one. So we do have our 2 ninja in here, and this is the first time that Zane is making a first-time appearance in this wave, which is phenomenal. So Kai has his they all have that new suit print for this year. So his is okay. There's something wrong. I don't want to say wrong might not be the right word, but in the abdominal belly region, it just doesn't stand out as well as it should with the 2 shades of red. And you have some gold in there that helps, but it's just kind of like a wash. Everything is just kind of clustered together based on the coloring, and it kind of sucks. Anyway, so he's got his dual colored hat that he is wearing. He's got the red with the darker red that is on there. So that is nice. The gold does look really nice against this because it's, the red and stuff like that. So that does work. So Zane's first time we're seeing Zane, like I said, the all white minifig, and then you have the gold and the light blue there, which is, it's so pretty. So pretty. Anyway, so like I said, first time for Zane. That's nice. He comes with his little sword, which is necessary in Ninjago world at these points in time. So let's move on to the new minifig, the baddies. Who doesn't love new bad guys? So our first new bad guy, Jordana. Man, it's just nice to get a new bad guy minifig. There's just something about it. It's like Christmas when it happens. So Jordana, she's a bad girl, and just not a very nice girl. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so she's got a nice little, man, I love her hairpiece. I believe this is new. I know her little coat thing that she's wearing, the little fluffiness, like you see these on hoods and in Arctic regions where it's really cold, like Eskimo coats, Inuits. I don't know which is called which. Is there a difference based on region? Anyway, so she's got that, and it's that really kind of nice sand blue. Really, 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 really love it in the way that it is done. But her hair is that darker red, and it's just something. There's something weird about it. It feels like it's from a certain time period. Maybe since Ninjago's the future, it's a new do in the future. But it feels very like 50s-esque, something like that. Anyway, so she does come with this little kind of saber, little sword, with the little hilt piece that it's attached into. That's fine. She's got 2 faces. She's got a big old smile and then kind of like a on the other side. And then we move on to our wolf mask warrior guy. We've seen these multiple times. There's nothing special, amazing, and awesome about those. They are redundant, as I had said, but they're a necessary evil to be able to have when you have a show. You need to have bad guys, and then when you have sets, you can't just be like, oh, there's only one bad guy in any of these sets. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. So let's go ahead and move on to the last set. I love this set. Let me rephrase. I have been waiting to talk about this set because it's just fun. So what I'm talking about is Egalt, the Master Dragon. 71809 has 532 pieces and retails for $70 and €70 or €70, depending where you are, what you live, what you buy, all that kind of goodiness and everything like that. All right, so we're just going to talk about minifigs real quick to get them out of the way because that is super not important. I don't really want to talk too much about the ninja and all the little minifigs. So first up, we have Nia. She's got her standard print that is here for this season, and she's got her dual faces, which Doesn't really work here because the kind of weird elemental powered up face is kind of weird if you were to put it with just her hairpiece, her big high ponytail hairpiece. And then obviously she comes with her sword. Sora is back in normal standard garb with her little hat and her little mask scarf that whips across her face. And then she comes with her swords as well. We do get Lloyd. We get Lloyd in the regular green guy here. We don't get him in his special little suit, which kind of stinks anyway. So he comes with his sword. Nothing super special there. But Lord Raz is making his first appearance in this wave. Super important. So same guy as the last season that we had talked about. But if you don't know what I'm talking about back then, from when it was back then. Anyway, he's got this solid molded headpiece here, and he's got some purple detailing, tattooing, I guess, above the eyes on the forehead. That's really nice. And then he's got these shoulder pads that he's wearing that are pointed on the sides. The printing on him being mainly purple with some blue on top of the black. It's really striking. There's something nice about it. It's just sharp. It's just really sharp. So here is what I wanted to get to. The bad guy, Cinder. He's wearing that kind of fluffy jacket type collar piece that we just talked about on the last set with Jordana. And Cinder's got a gray hairpiece as well. His face is really unique. It's probably the most unique thing out of this entire guy in general, because he's got this kind of silvery printing around the sides of his face with a yellow face. It's just something odd about it, something unique. Anyway, so he kind of has an angry face on one side, and then he has a just content line for a mouth face, whatever that emotion is to be implied. And then he comes with this little sword deal as well. Printing on him is not too bad. We do get a little side build, which is the little gong type thing that we have seen before, and a little hammer that is a printed little gong type shield piece, whatever you want to refer to it as. So now we need to get to the dragon. So I like how this dragon is done. There's just something about it. I like the way that it is done. It's a nice, smaller version of a dragon. We've seen something like this just about in every wave in the past few years from the Ninjago team. Obviously, it's a character in the show, so it has to be made into a set because it's obviously important enough, right? So you need to have it here. So this thing is mainly made up of black and white. It feels very Master Wu-esque, especially with the big hat piece, umbrella piece that is on here for the head. So the wings are pretty nice. They can be swooped back, kind of hidden out of the way, if you will. They can be flapped up and down because they're on a big ball joint. But let's go ahead and start at the front here with the head. We have a solid bottom jaw and a solid piece for the head that has the printing on it there, the orange eyes with the swooping back white pieces, the little smoke pieces, little smoke type pieces that we have up in the front, sticking out of the nose as well. We've got a little trans blue action going on in here inside the mouth. I'm assuming that's supposed to feel like it's supposed to be an orb. And then we have some little whiskers that are sticking out at the bottom of the beard. Now, this is on that newer type piece, that 1x3 modified plate that has two clips, one on each side, where the studs should be, and it only has one stud in the middle. So that connects the two jaw pieces, and obviously it has the big hat that I was talking about. Big ball joint back there behind the head gives you some maneuverability, but becomes locked in a certain downward pose just due to the sheer fact that, well, you are dealing with the whiskers down there. There is a little 2x2 tile that is down below and above as well. Those are stickers, so don't freak out or anything like that. But you can, if you so choose, you want to maneuver that thing around. If you want to, you can adjust this and get it into different positions because, it's on a click joint at the torso, which we'll talk about here in a second. So the middle section between the head and the torso, nothing special right there. But we do have a click joint that goes up and down and then can rotate around. You could probably hear that. I'm not going to get it any closer. We got a big chest belly build here, which is nice. We've got some feather/fiery pieces that are sticking out the top of the back of this thing. Then we get to the legs, the very front legs, which are much more robust as they usually are on these dragon builds because that's where the weight is being held. Click joint again, can rotate forward and back, can splay out if you so choose. And then this has some stickers on the sides right there, nothing crazy or wild or anything like that. Have the lock to knee joint here. Another sticker as you come down the leg to the ankle. We actually have those old style flags from like pirates and God, not castle. I was going to say kingdom. I think there was a kingdom wave though. Maybe it was later. So that is in red. We have some red that is right around there at that ankle joint. On tiny ball joint, got a lot of flexibility actually here. There's nothing really locked. And then we have a new version of toes here, a couple brick built toes and claws sticking out the end. Legs are identical, nothing super weird there. So then as we move just behind the legs, that's where we get into the wings. They are on those big giant ball joints here. They are plastic wings. Unfortunately, they are not the fabric, which kind of sucks. My son and I were talking about this. I really wish that they were. I understand the point of plastic, but I really love when they do fabric wings. There's just something about them, but I'm sure these will last longer in the long run. These are a little just Technic balled into place here. And then we have some gold that comes out the back that makes it feel like it's flying, which is really nice. These are brown and two different colors of tan that are on the wings. My apologies for not mentioning that. Then we move to the little seat just behind here, which you can sit, you could stand. If you sit, you can't really see anything, but you can if you so choose. Then we move back to the back legs, the rear legs here, and this is where things get a little different. The legs can rotate forward and back, but they're not on a standard big giant ball joint piece. You know what I mean? Because those are usually the 2x2 bricks, and then they have the big giant ball joint. Not the case here. It's just a little Technic ball that is pinned in with an axle. So it has that. It can go forward and backward. Can't really splay out because it's locked into place by a little bushing there. And then you get down to the ankle, which is a little tiny little ball joint again. Can move it around and round as much as you want. And then we have those big golden toes that are clipped into place on each side of, or on each foot, which there are then 3 claws, 3 toes, I'm assuming. So then we get into the rear end of this thing, and we have a swiveling tail that is made up of 4 segments. The first segment is ball jointed into place with 2 of those ball joints. And then we get the second segment here, again, ball joint. The third one a little bit smaller. And then the fourth one is where you've got the sword that is hanging out the top of this thing. And of course, why not? It's super relevant and important. So that is your dragon. There's something about this dragon that I'm just a fan of. It's a medium-sized dragon. I will tell you, I would love to have another firstborn dragon from, my goodness, at this point in time, probably about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, maybe longer. I would be okay to have another firstborn-sized dragon. I will pay the 80, 90, and probably at this point $100 for one, just so that I can have another to kind of go along with it. It is one of my favorite dragon builds of all time. So the set is cool. Definitely a fan of it. Obviously, you get some nice minifigs in this one as well, but more importantly, you get Cinder in here, which you can't get in any of the other sets. So we're done with the wave as a whole. What do we think about the wave? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? Does it need work? I think it actually turned out pretty well. I'm a fan of the mechs. The mech concept, I understand what they're going for playability. This is one of those things where kids can constantly mix and match and battle and do whatever they want because there's so many different pieces that can be popped off and swapped and rebuilt again. So I do understand that. I like the idea. I would have loved it as a kid. As an adult, it really doesn't hold much for me. It's not one of those things where I'm like, I can't wait to split this thing apart and build it up with this mech and this mech and that mech. And as I had mentioned, there are going to be more mechs coming in the future. So you're going to have that opportunity as well. But it is kind of cool to mix and color match and all that kind of stuff. So you can mix and match until your heart is content, or you can just leave them be. I think the dragon is a solid addition. I know somebody's going to say, oh, but it's $70. Yeah, I know it's $70, but you have some bigger pieces in there. Again, more plastic costs more money. So it is what it is, unfortunately. And if you don't like it, well, just wait till it goes on sale potentially in the future, or just, wait until you get some points or you get some gift cards or something. Who knows? Or maybe you can find it cheaper at a big box store at some point in time or online somewhere else. So as a whole, I would rate this wave as probably an 8. And I say that not because the wave is bad. I say it just because there's not a whole lot here. We only have a bad guy mech. We don't have much else. You have the bad guy flyer that we talked about with Aaron and the I believe that was the 4+ mech. Yeah. There's not really anything else. Yes, you get some cool bad guys, which is fine, not a big deal, but there's nothing to compete against. You know what I mean? Like there's no other bad guy mech. There's not really a bad guy vehicle. There's not really a fortress that we've seen in years past. Maybe not fortress isn't the right word, but some kind of bad guy hideout. There's really nothing here. Well, not really nothing here. There's nothing here like that. I definitely want to see LEGO get back to more of something like the sort, because it definitely adds a different tone to the entire wave as an adult purchase, as a child purchase. I mean, when I was a kid and I was, around for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the originals, there were plenty of bad guys, right? There was a bad guy play set. When I realized they're doing different waves of LEGO and stuff like that. Another wave of Ninjago, another wave and stuff like that. But they're really, honestly, I feel like there need to be more of those things to be able to bring it into people. We had a set build from the show on the last wave, but I wouldn't really call it like a bad guy build or anything like that. I would love, like I said, to see more of that, because it really increases the value of the wave. If you want to charge me $120 or something like that, and you're going to give me like a dragon pit like we had years back, I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that. But I want something that I can, have my ninjas go after or have a battle with the bad guys. Not just, oh, hey, it's a bunch of good guys. What are we going to do? We don't really have anybody to fight or anything to really protect. And maybe that's the intent of the design team, to just kind of have, smaller things and just let kids kind of create their own storyline. But you still got to have some kind of bad guy stuff in there. Anyway, so that's why I give it an 8. I think the builds are okay. I understand the modularity concept with mixing and matching and everything like that. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. But it gets an 8 for me. So that's going to wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.